Hi, everybody. I'm Tamara Zoner.
And I'm John Davis.
Welcome to Spirit Cafe.
Come in, sit down, and
grab a cup of love.
A Spirituality Without the Guilt podcast. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Spirit Cafe. It is I, John Davis. I am your father. I am here today, and I'm very excited because I have a topic that I run into very frequently in my private sessions, especially, and it's a topic that I'm really curious to hear Tamara's point of view on, because to me it's a very interesting topic in the fact that it shows what a lot of people are going through spiritually. And it shows what how a lot of people are limiting themselves spiritually as well, in my opinion. So, but before I can ask her about it, I've got to introduce her. I've got to bring her in. I've got to bring in the lady of leisure herself. I've got to bring in the gal of goodness. I'm making stuff up as I go right now. This is good. The woman of whimsy, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Tamara Zoner. How are you, woman of whimsy?
John the Joker. I'm good.
John the Joker. That'd be me.
That would be you.
I am the Batman nemesis. That's what I am.
Not bad Joker. Not an evil Joker.
That depends on the mood
John
I'm in,
the
really.
Jester. How about that, John the Jester?
It depends on the mood I'm in, really. I can be evil.
I disagree. I disagree.
Well, yeah, I guess probably not. Damn. I hope to be evil. Anyway, as Jessica Rabbit said, I'm just drawn that way.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Right, exactly. So, Tamara Zoner, I in the private sessions that I do, I am often running into people who are always looking for the next aha moment. And I have a very good friend who every few weeks, I hear about this new, latest, greatest thing they're doing that is the next aha moment. And then what happens is a couple of weeks later, they call me up and they found the next aha moment. And then a couple of weeks later, they found the next aha moment. And what's interesting is I noticed that as they're going along and they're finding these aha moments, none of the aha moments really stick. And none of them actually take them to a place of experiencing true oneness with yada yada, right? And so have you run into something like that with your clients as well, or with the people in your spiritual circles?
Absolutely. And this is what in my work, in the happiness work, we call the myth of more. Right? The myth of more. So if I can just get that next thing, then I'll be happy. If I can get that pay raise or that cool job, or in my world, a lot of coaches, that next certification, then, and what comes after the end, then for people, they're thinking it's I'll be happy, but ultimately it's then I'll be enough. Right?
Oh, that oh, how profound is that? I'll be enough. They need that thing to make them complete.
Yes, like, and good enough to have the life they really want. So that's what those seeking the aha moment are seeking, because they are not, we just talked about this on the vacation episode last week, where the being and the doing. So when we're constantly seeking for that next shiny object, we are not loving ourselves. We are not comfortable in simply being who we are and accepting that we are enough, believing that we are enough, because we think we have to get more, do more, be more to earn it. But that is a disconnection from source, from the yada yada, because we were born enough. We were born enough. That's why we got the privilege of this life.
Right. I'm fascinated by the one of the things that I find a lot is that people are always seeking a connection, but they don't realize that they're already connected. They're already creating their experience as they go. and they just haven't acknowledged it. They haven't stepped into the role of creator, or as my good friend Tamara would say, the conscious creator, right? They haven't stepped into the realization that they already are creating, already are connecting, they already are connected. And I always go back to the quote that I use from my regressions is, when you seek a path will be laid before you, but until you turn that path back to yourself, you never find the doorway. And that seeking a path, if you think about that, if you're asking for the next aha moment, you're actually creating the next aha moment, as opposed to the reality of the fact that you're the creator. And when I hear people who, like I would years ago, one of the reasons I left the spiritual world, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, was because I'd go in and I'd talk about their own divinity and their own creative self. And I'd come back a year later to the same place and I'd meet the same people with the same problems. And they weren't taking any of the things that I was saying and putting it into action. And I realized that I was just a placebo. They felt good in the moment. I was the aha moment that they had last year. And they're coming back to see me again because I was the aha moment last year. But that's becoming a crutch for somebody. It's becoming something else. So the idea of looking for the aha moment, it really is spinning in place. You're not really getting anywhere until you come into the realization that you are already enough. You are already connected to God. I said to somebody yesterday, I said, I say, I am tired and I yawn, and I am hungry and my stomach growls, and that's because I am is God's name, and tired and hungry are the creative actions that I've decided to create.
Yes.
And that's a very common misconception that I find that the people who are searching for the aha moment have, is that they don't realize that they are one with God or creating themselves.
Yes, they're seeking outside of themselves. That's why they're seeking you to be a reflection of that. They're seeking me. I mean, I'm so grateful that people do, because this is the work that we do, right?
Right.
It gives me a living. And I always say, you are your own greatest resource. You are your own greatest teacher. You have already everything you need within
Everything.
you.
Yep.
When will you trust that?
That is a great question. And because it's the interesting thing is the word when to me, because when, I like to use, there's a neurolinguistic phrase that we use a lot in neurolinguistics, which is when is now a good time?
Yes. Yeah.
And I love that phrase because it makes people go, huh? Because even asking when means you're putting it off, because you only have your conscious self in one moment, in the present moment. And when you're asking when, you're sitting in your present moment and you're wasting it on not having. Whereas you can sit here and go, I am creating something different. I often say that people sit in the present moment, and the present moment has two facets to it. One, you're sitting in the present moment, and the present moment is the culmination of all of your past beliefs. And it's also the moment where you get to create the next moment that becomes one of your past beliefs. And so you have to, there's a subtle shift where you have to shift out of what was and shift into I am creating. And because a lot of people will look and say, well, this is the way it is. The world is just hard because of this, or the world is just this way because of this. And they're looking at the empirical evidence in their physical reality, and not realizing that that empirical evidence is a residual of their own belief.
Right. Which is exactly why I use consciously creating, because we're all creating all the time. You and I know this. A lot of our listeners know this. But are you consciously creating what you choose to have in your life? What are you putting your attention on in that moment? And that's the key, is to be aware of what you are creating and do it with intention.
Right. One of the things that I find very helpful with the clients that I work with is the concept of not over planning what you're creating.
Mhm.
And I say, you don't have to know how it's going to play out because the reality of it is it could be much better than you think.
Yeah, that's what I say too. It's the how is none of your business.
Right.
And I will tell people, you're going to think these thoughts, right? It happens. It comes up. Oh, I can't write that passion down because how would I get that? The how is none of your business.
Right. And on top of it, the word just to ask how means you don't have it in your present moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're actually focused on not having it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're creating not having it.
Yeah.
So it comes that whole how. One of the things that I've discovered is that when I'm working with clients, I go, so what would your future look like? What do you think it would be? And then they start listing, well, I'd have, a 3-bedroom, 4-bath house, and I'd have an acre and a half of land, blah, 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 blah. And they start going it down to the minutia, and I'd have this electrical system, and then
Gosh, wow. Okay.
Crazy. They've got, and I'm like, you know what? Instead of that, why don't you say something like, thank you, God, for the joyful environment and home that I am receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And, a home where I feel comfortable and excited to be in, and I can be my full authentic self in. How would that feel? And it's funny because as I'm saying it, they start to smile.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how's that feel? That would feel great. And they get like, oh my God, that would feel great. I said, you don't have to know what it's going to look like.
Right.
All you have to do is lean into the feeling, because the connection to source is not in the thinking, it's in the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get into the feeling aspect to touch and to create, because it's the feeling that's creating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with the aha moment. They're looking for feeling.
Right.
They're looking for that aha. Oh my God, this is, oh my God. Right.
Yeah. They're seeking fulfillment.
Right. Fulfillment. Exactly. Like you said, I love the fact that they feel like they're not complete, because that's true. They're looking for the thing to complete them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's okay if that's where you're at. I've been there. And what a gift it is now to have practiced, because everything is a practice, in my perspective, to simply be and to really believe that I'm enough. I stopped. I have certifications, man. And I finally, one day, after practicing for a year, stopped and said, oh, I don't need that. I'm enough.
Right. And beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It one of the things that when I think of the aha moment, right, and using your words that making that thing that makes them feel complete. One of the things that I run into frequently, and I think it kind of ties into this, is that people are looking for the miracle. They're looking for the thing, and like when they're trying to manifest something, they're like, the law of attraction says I have to believe that I have it already. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe that, because of the fact that if you can't believe you have it already, like I often use the analogy of the 900-pound man who can't see his shoes. He can't say I'm a thin man and believe it, but he can say I am receiving a healthy body. Mm-hmm. I am receiving. I am eating better foods. I am walking an extra mile. I am
every day.
Right. Yeah. So in my mind, it's the being experience of the now that brings in the reality of the tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But it has to be given the time to flow into you like energy, like water. Mm-hmm. And to look for the aha moment is to look for the magical instant experience. And I think the magical instant experience is antithetical to the nature of the world.
Well, and it's already there. It's right now.
Right.
It is right now. So we're seeking something that we already have, if we would just pause and notice.
Right. There's a there's a Bible story, and I'm sure you've heard it, of the wedding feast of Cana, where he turned the water into wine, right? And in the story, the Mother Mary comes and says, they need you to make some wine. And Joshua says, it's not my time yet. It's not my time yet. And people have often made this out to be, it's not my time to become the Christ. And I don't think that's what it is. I really think that he was in the process of manifestation, and it was coming in over the time, right? It was coming into his experience. And so I think that, what he was really saying was that I am manifesting it, but the time hasn't come yet, and it's coming, right? And I believe it's coming, so it's coming into I am receiving, basically. And there is an element of time that is found all the way through the ancient texts, all over the place. And the element of time, for instance, after the crucifixion, he resurrected, and the Marys in the Bible see him first. But what's the first thing he says? He says, "Don't touch me. I'm not fully back yet."
Oh,
right. So there's an element of time of him manifesting into the experience. And so I think that people get too excited about the instant gratification of an aha moment, and less about the enjoying the process of creating.
Yeah, that's the whole, it's the journey, not the destination.
Right.
Like, when we get to the destination, we're done here, folks. So
check it out, ching, done.
Wouldn't it be cool if you just loved every step of your journey and fully stepped into it, fully received in that moment? And again, it comes back to being instead of doing, and gratitude and appreciation for exactly what is right now, because that just raises your frequency up even higher,
right,
and attracts that which you want into your life. And it already is enough right now. It's already.
I love what you just said about the frequency going higher. I have discovered over all my own personal spiritual journey that the more I unpack, the more big spiritual experiences I have. Okay, so for instance, the very first big spiritual experience I had was a Kundalini rising.
Right.
And the interesting thing about it was I had not studied. I had not learned anything about meditation at that point. I had not done anything. The only thing that had happened was I had seen a 60 minutes TV show where monks warmed their bodies up in a freezer. Right. And so that's the only thing I had. I had no modality. I had no dogma. I had no ritual. I had no technique. I had none of this stuff. I just knew I could. And it was the interesting thing was I said, well, if they can do it, so can I. And I just stayed in that place of, I am warming my feet up, and my feet got warm. And next thing you know, boom, I was having this huge experience. And I have discovered over the course of many years of study now, and Lord knows I've done the study. I've read everything I can possibly find and more, and studied with teachers and listened to speakers, and I have found over the course of time that I need to strip all that away and come back to just simply being. And once it's like my meditation practice, I don't even call it meditation. I call it sitting in love, but I go in there and I sit down and it makes me cough. I just be with the feeling of complete relaxation, and that feeling of love comes into my body. But it's not about the aha moment. The aha moments, the actual light show, I don't call them aha moments, but the light shows happen when I don't have an expectation on them, or I don't buy into somebody else's expectation on them. The less I have in my head, the more I experience.
Yes.
I often wonder why the Buddhist monks are always so quiet. they walk around and they smile and they nod and they shake their head, right? They're not deep into all the minutia of the world. They're really into the being experience.
Yeah, they're not thinking of what they have to say next or what will make them appear cool or smart or funny.
Exactly.
They're just being. And that, you've had these big spiritual experiences, and I haven't. I have had small, blissful moments.
Yeah. And they're just as profound.
Exactly. And like you, it's when I'm simply being quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet.
I love it. I love it. I love the fact that it's not about the modality. It's not about the technique. It's not about the stuff. It's about being authentically you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not trying to be what someone else told you should be or that worked for them. Like, I'm never trying to be John Davis, right? Yeah. That's cool.
I have tried to be Tamara Zoner, but the dresses don't fit. Try not to visualize.
I can't help it. I'm a visual person. I just saw you in a yellow dress. Okay. Oh goodness. Okay. So, but it's just simply doing and being and receiving what's right just for you. Just for you, not what anybody else says. And to have the courage and love for yourself to know that what you firmly believe in your heart is the right step or stillness for you is how you will stop trying to reach out there and achieve that next aha moment or that next thing, that myth of more, and simply find yourself right where you're at, because that's where bliss lives.
You are the aha moment.
You are the aha moment. That's your next book, John.
Yeah, you are the aha moment. It is the next book, isn't it? Holy smokes, that's a great book.
That's a good. I'll write that down, and I'll write your foreword. Even though
on it,
yeah,
on it. You have just committed yourself to something you have no idea.
You say, "Tam, let's do this thing." I'm like, all right.
That's one of the greatest things about you, Tamara, is you are simply being. You're in the moment, and if it feels right, you follow it. And that to me is that's like an enlightened Taoist master. An enlightened Taoist master. I remember Wayne Dyer talked about being a Taoist master, and he talked about his grandkids arguing and fighting and screaming at each other, and him sitting there, and the one comes over and says, "Grandpa, blah, blah, blah." He says, "You'll figure it out." Mm-hmm. And she said, "What do you mean? You'll figure it out." He says, and just by saying that, the entire experience for the child changed because they went and figured it out. Mm-hmm. They didn't have something outside of themselves that they needed to fix it. Mm-hmm. They just figured it out. Yeah. And that's the way. That's what Tao means, the way. And so, just being you and just letting things flow and be natural and authentic.
Yeah. And being in tune with yourself and your body, because that is the guide. Like, my body is the guide in those moments. You ask me, do I want to do something? And I don't think about it. I feel about it.
Right.
And I feel where it lands. And if I feel like this pull forward, then yeah, heck yeah. Okay. Even if it's scary, or I'm like, I don't know how, right? When we first talked about this podcast, I wasn't ready for a podcast. Like, what are you talking about?
And nothing works at the speed of John. So I was getting it done.
And I was like, sure. Okay. Cause it felt good. Like, I felt that pull forward. I felt like, yes. And there are lots and lots of things that feel like a no to me. And I happily say, no, thanks. No attachment, because I'm not concerned with disappointing others.
Right.
That's their own path. That's their own emotion. That's their own experience.
Right. And, it's, if something changes about how it feels, then we move on. We do something different, and that, if that's, if that comes to that, but hasn't come to that place for me yet, because I thoroughly enjoy
my own YouTube videos. Right. I was like, what, this feels like pressure and work right now. And I want freedom and space, and I'm just going to take a break.
Right.
I'll come back to it when I feel called to.
And Spirit Cafe, over the course, it's interesting, over the course of time, it's gotten so easy to do. We just hop on a couple of times, and I've even structured it so that 99% of my editing is done before, in real time.
Yeah.
So it's like,
because we're just having a real conversation, and not you guys. Half the time we don't even know what topic we're talking about before we get on here, because we're just two people who enjoy talking to each other.
Yeah, and that is beautiful, and we're being.
Yes,
we're in the moment, and like a lot of times, like in this conversation, when you said they don't feel complete, they're looking for something to complete them, I was like, wow, that's really profound, because I had not thought of it that way. I thought of it from the perspective of trying to get somewhere, and you were thinking of the perspective of why they were trying to get there.
Yeah, I do that.
and I loved it. That's why I enjoy these conversations so much. And quite honestly, it's obviously working, because that's why you made an impact on me the first time I ever saw you, is because what you're doing not only makes you feel good, but it makes everybody around you feel good. And that's really the key, is that as a human being, the way you be, the way I be affects the people around you.
Yeah. And if I were trying so hard, I don't think it would be as effective, because people feel authenticity, even if you don't mentally recognize it.
It's
right?
So interesting you just said that. I have been, over the past couple of days, I've gotten a couple of different emails from people, and they're like, when I first saw the interview with you, and whichever interview I did, and and I really read the title and thought, this guy must be totally full of it. There's no way that this past life thing, blah 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 blah. He says, but then I listened to you. He says, and I'm shocked, because I believe you. And I'm like, that's because I'm not telling a story.
Exactly.
I'm just telling my truth.
Yeah.
And I don't expect you to believe it.
Yep.
I want nothing from
anybody.
And
I love that right there. I think this is why my local meetup is so successful, and why people keep coming back and new people keep joining, is because I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm not trying to make you want to be here. If you show up and you enjoy this, cool. And you'll know within the first half an hour if this is really for you or not. And you'll come back or you won't, but I have no attachment to that. Because
Right.
Again, that's your experience, your choice, and I'm not going to change for you. I created this group for me. And it just so happens that I love to be around people, and a certain kind of people. And that's who I've invited into this space. And that's who keeps showing up. And that's what I love. There's no need for others, because I am already complete. You are already complete. You people watching and listening are already complete. You just might not believe it yet.
Right. And belief is everything.
Belief is everything.
Because your belief is what you're experiencing in your world.
Yeah.
Because beliefs are thoughts, and what you think you become, you create your world. Right.
And when you believe it, when you truly, deeply believe and feel that you are enough, then you are happy.
Right. And remember what Shakespeare said when he said, words without thoughts never to heaven go. You've got to believe what you're in yourself. You've got to believe that you are complete and whole, that you don't need an aha moment to make you complete and whole. You are already enough. And the words you're putting out aren't going to make you more complete. It's the thought that you're thinking about yourself that makes you complete.
Yeah. And the feeling you're feeling about yourself.
Right. Exactly.
And to know, and people are probably saying, well, how do you do that? It's practice. Right? That's it.
Right.
Like I always say this 1,000 times a day. It's practice.
Right. And the easiest practice that I have found, you may disagree, but I have found that just really listening to what you're saying.
That is it. What you're saying to yourself, what you're saying to others.
Because 90% of your subconscious belief comes out your mouth.
Your language reveals everything.
Everything. And that's why I say take, wanting, wishing, hoping, trying out of your vocabulary, because that's non-productive, right? But those are also the belief that you're not receiving. And looking for the next aha moment is seeking a path. And when you seek a path, you'll wander in the wilderness. To me, I think it's beautiful what you said. And I love the passion test in regards that it helps people find what they truly believe.
Yeah, because you don't know what, like, you can't just build a house without any plans, right?
Right.
It's not going to come out a coherent structure. So
right.
feel about what you want to, and let your heart lead, and then to write it down, and then to move toward that. I said the how is none of your business at the beginning, but people are like, but how do I get to this happy life, this ideal life? The how will reveal itself through your consistent, imperfect action.
There you go.
Every day, moving toward and choosing in favor of what you want to feel like in your life and what you want to create in your life. And I'm using that word want, which John says is a no, but we start somewhere.
Absolutely. No, I say it's a no in the process of creation.
Yeah. And we wouldn't write that down on your passion test list, right? It's not, I want to, it's, I am.
Right.
I am.
But I think in the process of discovery, all the words are fine.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I'm discovering what I desire. Yeah. Right. I want this. Okay. So now I've discovered it. Now I am getting it.
Now I am
creating it.
Ideal life.
Yeah.
It is. It is. It just is.
I love it. Tamara, you are so wise, and
thank you.
You're like a female Yoda without the ears and the green skin.
Okay.
And I think I love and appreciate our time together, because it makes me be a better person, because I get to explore different things and have conversations with you that I don't normally have with other people. And I think that's great. And I think you and I together bring a real perspective to people who are looking in their own life, how to just be. And so, yeah, I think it's very good. I think that this conversation will help a lot of people find their own space. And I'm going on vacation in the next 24 hours. So,
yeah. All right.
So anyway, this has been lovely. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for yours. I'm excited for your vacation. I'm excited.
I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to this.
I can't think about it when you're back. And until then, my friends, let us know your thoughts on this episode, because I feel like this was a good, juicy one. And we would love to hear where you're at, read where you're at, and what's true for you. And do you believe that you are enough? Because we do. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Thank you for joining us at Spirit Cafe, a place where you can safely explore your spirituality without the guilt or dogma of religion. Please leave all comments on the Spirit Cafe podcast Facebook page or beneath our videos on YouTube.